Just people need to get the message that this isn't just about them. This is about their neighbors. This is about vulnerable seniors. This is about health workers who are on the front lines trying to keep us safe.
And then the results can be analysed in real time. So I'm really excited about that.
And one follow-up, if I can, there are also reports that Canadians are trying to hoard these tablets, much the way they did with Tamiflu during the bird flu outbreak. Again, Dr. Tam, could I get your thoughts on whether this is a wise thing for Canadians to be doing?
My message is that you should not take medication without the scientific evidence. It can be quite dangerous. These drugs are not without side effects. In fact, they're quite significant side effects, and so people have to be really, really careful about this.
So it's March 23rd. Just finished bass, which was the last track I did. So started around maybe 9:30, 10 a.m. No miracle yet, I guess, but I guess that's where everything's a miracle if you look at it.
I think we have a pretty good plan. I think we talked about last year when I first got here.
On the outside.
John and I are also on board.
So which is more important?
Trying to bring the camp. John mentioned that. And really the focus of that is to try and get the players and coaches invested.
Tuesday night, around 9:12, watching 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. So I'm really happy with how Capital Intrigue sounded yesterday. So because things are they are. And so I'm just going to, so far the plan is just to play some cover songs and just kind of do a little practice and then maybe include some sound riffs in there. Anyways, I'm committed to trying to play every day for an entire year, record for an entire year, every day.
Sell some more mortgage bonds came to a grinding halt when people realized that everything propping up this speculation was based on absolute garbage. As of making this video, we have just lived through the fastest 30% market decline in US history, outpacing all of the examples I just listed above. All of those examples were pretty clearly based based on wild speculation and poor investment, whereas this crisis is caused by an invisible enemy that must not be named. Well, no, not really. This disease has been a fantastic excuse for governments and businesses and individuals to rid themselves of blame in causing this economic crisis. Two things. The lockdown actions taken by governments around the world in recent weeks will cause an economic recession. This was not caused by those actions. It was really a long time coming. The only difference is not acting exclusively to rectify the economic problem, because they need to balance their response to the economy with their response to public safety. And in many instances, those two actions are at odds with one another.
Obviously, that's not a cover. So I somewhat randomly choose my effects. Like I just kind of tap the the adjust on the delay, and I just kind of I do in a sense select whether I want to use a phaser, or a flanger, chorus, rotary, tremolo, or clean, which I hardly ever do. So when I just live with it, like if it delays this much, I just try to cater to the sound versus change the sound, and that's another reason why I can do these kind of quickly. So I just kind of live with it.
Now, light. We use it to buy homes and cars and boats and new plasma screen TVs and even in education these days. Now, we can break this debt into two main categories: good debt and bad debt. If you rack up a credit card bill by buying a jet ski and a lovely designer wardrobe, you are going to be saddled with very high interest rates and a whole lot of junk that is going to depreciate in value just as quickly as that Amex bill racks up.
Plan to pass an emergency bill during this pandemic hits a roadblock.
Hell no.
Plus, the message the Prime Minister cannot stress enough.
Stay home.
President Trump's prediction for when the U.S. economy will be back in business.
I'd love to have it open by Easter.
Critics say it could cost millions of lives. Deepening dangers in the line of duty, the risks our paramedics face, and stuck in a precarious position in Peru.
Every day goes by and we have no information.
Canadians desperate to get home. $82 billion in emergency aid, but now that is stalled. An emergency emergency session of Parliament has been suspended. I'll tell you why in just a moment. First, where we're at with this virus. More and more Canadians are getting sick, and this message needs to be repeated.
This is serious. The decisions you make have serious consequences, not just on your community, but on the entire country. If you want things to get back to normal, do your part. Stay home.
Canada's Public Health Agency says 90% of new cases in the last week are linked to community spread. That means people are getting it from someone else in the community, and it's a dramatic shift from a few weeks ago when most reported cases in Canada were the result of overseas travel.
So that everyone is respecting social distance.
Ontario, there are now a total of 588 cases, including 31 healthcare workers. In total, across Canada, more than 2,700 people have now tested positive for COVID-19. All agreed to pass a bill to help Canadians who've lost their jobs or can't buy groceries or pay the bills or have to stay home because they're sick. But it derailed and Parliament has been suspended while MPs negotiate a way through the impasse. COVID-19 continues to wreak havoc on the world of sports, this time the Olympics. Japan and the Olympic Committee have postponed the Tokyo Games until next year. Olympic Games have been outright cancelled in the past because of the world wars, but this would be the first time in the 124-year history of the Olympics that it's been postponed. Of India, Narendra Modi, announced the entire country of 1.3 billion people will be in lockdown starting Wednesday at midnight. The country has more than 500 confirmed cases of COVID-19.
come for us all to do more. From this evening, I must give the British people a very simple instruction. You must stay at home.
Don't leave the house. He warns people not to meet with friends or family, and people who break the rules will have to pay fines. There are more than 6,700 cases of the new coronavirus in the UK. COVID-19 death toll is now more than 6,000, and the country is trying to give proper burials to every person, but it's proving to be difficult. Crematoriums and cemeteries in a few regions like Lombardy have been pushed to their limits. A team of reporters at a cemetery witnessed 5 hearses arriving in a crematorium over a period of 10 minutes.
More than 300,000 cases of COVID-19 have now been reported to WHO from almost every country in the world. That's heartbreaking. The pandemic is accelerating.
There are now COVID-19 infections in almost every country. The head of the WHO said staying at home will help slow down the spread of the disease, but the world needs to attack this more aggressively.
And yes, the delay is sometimes, well, we're stepping like inside prima donna, as if you guys know what I'm talking about. Song I was just doing. I would have, like I said, I just tried challenge myself to kind of find something within that effect, but I will admit that it gets difficult when the delay is as loud as like the keynote or whatever, and it's hard to play covers with that. But I'm being a pussy tonight. That's offensive. So I'm just So I got really sick on Saturday night, and I've been afraid ever since that it can happen again. So So that's kind of I'm on edge tonight, to be honest with you. Because it happens at night mostly for me, or in the morning. But since Saturday night I haven't been sick, in the sense, I mean, I've had little moments where I'm like, oh no, the headache's starting again, or I feel a little bit of fever coming on, and yeah.
He also called for the protection of healthcare workers around the world. The UN is asking all nations to lay down their weapons and instead focus on battling COVID-19, which is the common enemy threatening people all over the world. The ceasefire would let humanitarians help people in areas that are most vulnerable to the spread of the disease. Thanks for watching Global News. If you want to stay up to date...
UFC fighter Cam Atkinson here from the Columbus Blue Jackets. What's up, Team Ohio? How are you? This is Chris Spielman.
This is Anthony Grant, head basketball coach at the University of Dayton, and my wife Chris.
Hey everyone, I'm Jenny Brittenbauer, the founder of Jenny's Splendid Ice Creams, and I'm here on official business.
Just a few tips and reminders to help avoid the spread of COVID-19.
Keeping that social distance. My family's been tucked away at home since the NHL announced the suspension of our season. We're trying to do what our public officials have asked of us to keep not only ourselves, but our fellow Ohioans safe. We're in a fight, and one thing I know about the Buckeye State, when we get in a fight, we fight back, and we win.
Put her in a position that I knew nothing really about until I got drafted by the Indianapolis Colts to join the Colts in 2009. I knew I was arriving at a team that had an absolute goat as a quarterback. And obviously, after the first day, with all the other OGs on the team, they told me, how's it going? Very nice to meet you. Jeff Saturday, he had like 30
It's been a weird night, man. I'm just, you know, this whole thing that's going on, man. And then the fact that I'm pretty sure, I mean, the symptoms I had on Saturday night were out of this world, man. And literally, that's what it felt like, out of this world. And I have a lot of things to say about that, and I'm not sure if this is the format to do it on, but it didn't feel natural, man. It didn't feel, it felt like it knew, like, I feel like it was engineered to know what was coming at it. And I guess that's what, you know, what a virus does, it's trying to survive, so it, you know, it mutates or whatever and all that, but I've never felt such a glow, but the wrong kind of glow, like, it was intense.
Makes a lot of good decisions, not just on the football field. That guy could run for president if he wanted to, and I think he would win, but that's all these compliments. They gave the money in football last year.
Make sure you don't cough on others. Make sure you wash your hands for a minimum of 20 seconds. A new practice that I think will be with us as we move forward past this issue. Make sure that you're doing everything that you can to protect the vulnerable.
We encourage you to engage in physical and mental activities like exercising, going for walks in your neighborhood, reading, or simply engaging in fun family activities within the confines of your home.
It's critical that we all understand the importance of flattening the infection rate curve of this virus.
Plan really, to be honest with you. That should be great for this might be my last night on Earth, you never know. That's how it was on Saturday night, man. It felt like my last night. It's not like you just show up unprepared and just kind of do your thing. There is a time commitment involved, so if you're retired, it might not be something you want to do, but for $20 million, oh man, it was so bad, but prime time positions in all of football, the name Peyton Manning, remember things like the Korean War, or any war actually, but especially that one. That was some research on that one. Whenever the game's being played, it would have been nice to hear him break down things that he's seeing, just like Tony Romo's able to do. It would have been nice to have Peyton Manning in there, but now for the third time, Peyton Manning has said no. There's so many extremes in that. His 44th birthday, he turned down a potential 5-year, $100 million deal to do Monday Night Football. And I want to say Peyton Manning, and I'm bummed about that. I think he would have been very, very good at that. But to all roads for this Monday Night
Save lives. It's going to take all of us.
Because together we stand, divided we will fall, but in unity there is great strength. And in this country and in this state, we have unity and great strength. God bless.
I'm sure there's a lot of players out there that would love to get that game. I'm sure there's a lot of people because it's the Super Bowl every week. It's different. It's on Monday night. It is. I mean, it's a big deal. And boy, what a massive role that you the last two. I think we all think that. I think the world thinks that. And I don't think that's Booger McFarland's fault or Jason Witten's fault. I just think it's a scenario where you got a lot of eyes on you, so when you get thrown in the deep end there, you have to be able to swim. And if you struggle at all, people are going to say, oh, there's a lack of confidence, a lack of a lot of things in there. And people will notice it. But boy, what are they going to do with that role? Nobody knows. Because he's got the Indianapolis Indiana that just keeps on chugging along. And every day that passes, the price goes up. That's just what happens. There's no way I'll get off of that game, but I'm excited to see who they end up with. Now that they've tried Tony Romo, they've tried Peyton Manning, they haven't been able to get who will they be able to get? I'm excited to see you being the humble human that you are. You have always said there's no way you get that job. It's kind of humble, because I already said that nobody can touch me on the microphone, so that's not really that humble. It's just more of like a there's nobody that can really keep up with me, especially whenever I put it into a top gear. Because it's speed up your listening, and I'm really that big of a problem. So stay tuned to wonderful man watching this. You deserve to have great. You can do that now with our friends at Romo. Right now, you know, and free 2-day shipping on all its slips, which are guaranteed to make you have longer and a tiny getting the same. Let's get back to the football action. But yeah, it's
Thank all of our participants today and all the people who are out there creating their own videos. I've seen some and they're just great. Thank you everybody for getting in the spirit and for conveying that message every single day. I received an email from a friend of mine. I'm concerned that people think that they can't go to the cemetery. So certainly people can do that. We can do that. Usually hardly anybody there. You can certainly keep the social distancing. In other states, States. We're seeing how they deal with it. We're seeing how they've prepared for this. And I think it's important for us to again recall what our goal is and how we achieve the goal. Is just simply comply with the order in its plain language as we ask you to do. Even if you are an essential business and you're allowed to remain open under item 18 of this, there are safety and health standards you still must comply with to make sure that you're providing a safe place for your businesses to operate and a safe environment for your employees. Is to have a violation that allows an employee to become sick and then spreads that through your workforce. From contracting the coronavirus is also a proactive step towards protecting our economy from crashing. Short-term consequences of slowing this economy down, which is what we're certainly seeing, will far outweigh the long-term economic meltdown from a deadly virus that is left unchecked.
Population 21 million, that mandate has not been ordered, but we discovered families like the Lefebvre are doing just that, staying at home, and they say easier said than done. Like 9-year-old twins Addison and Aiden have been spending a lot of time at home on the computer studying. Older sister Kaylee, an 8th grader, is cut off from friends, except on FaceTime. Officials, including we've been spending a lot of time with New York officials because that really is by far the hottest spot. They've got a number of very tough weeks ahead of them. The governor's doing a very good job. I spoke to the governor, Governor Cuomo, last night and this morning, and he mentioned that in his remarks that he's using that we are using, and I think he feels, because he understands negotiation, he thinks we're using very appropriately the Defense Production Act. And I don't have to use it very much at all. They want to do it. As you know, General Motors is involved, Ford's involved, 3M's involved, others are involved, and they're all working very hard to produce product, all different products. They're working on it with us, and our teams are working very well with the state representatives. We're also doing some very large testing throughout the country. I told you yesterday that in South Korea, this is not a knock in any way, because I just spoke with President Moon. We had a very good conversation about numerous other things. But they've done a very good job of testing. But we now are doing more testing than anybody by far. Olympics, it was the absolute right decision to delay it for a full year and now have a full, beautiful Olympics. It's going to be Very important because it's probably the first time, maybe ever, or certainly in a long time, that it was on a odd year. It's always on an even year, they tell me. But he's going to have a fantastic success, and now that I have even more time, he didn't need any more time. Everything was perfectly ready. What a job they've done. Sick leave, and we have all sorts of things in for the working single day. On the subject of supplies, before the end of the week, we'll talk a bit more, as the president did moments ago, about the supply chain. I was at FEMA today to find medical supplies, whether it be masks or gowns or gloves or ventilators, and the team is working around the clock to meet those needs.
I know when I play like this, mainly because all kinds of factors why I'm playing like this. Part of it is because I'm being recorded too. So I don't know. Normally I play, I'm on my best behavior when I'm recording, but I'm getting nervous about. The reason I'm getting nervous is I'm feeling signs of how it happened on Saturday night. Like I felt okay during the day on Saturday, and then all of a sudden it started, and it just was so bad. It was just so tough. It was so hard to get through. I just don't know if I can do it again. So it's in nervous mode right now. And so I'm just kind of whining. One more effect and I'm going to be done. Because you can always play the blues. That's something to get, let's get practice. I know it's not so much fun to listen to sometimes. It's a little boring. A little bit old-fashioned. So I'm kind of avoiding the main headlines today, because I've realized that stresses me out a little bit.
You ever accidentally pour out the conditioner first? You're like, oh crap! It's like $3. You ever try and put it back in? You're like,
First and foremost, the CDC is developing guidance, which we'll be publishing tomorrow, about the best way to utilize our natural resources at our parks.
favorite show.
recommendations about how we can safely and responsibly do just that. But for every American that wants to see America back in business, you can hasten the day by putting into practice the 15 days to slow the spread. Go to coronavirus.gov.
And not the 2021. We're really dealing with the here and now while we're playing. Are actually very frightening to people. But I can tell you, if you go back and look at Wuhan and Hubei and all of these provinces, when they talk about 60,000 people being infected, even if you said, oh, right, well, there's asymptomatics and all of that, so you get to 600,000 people out of 80 million. That is nowhere close to the numbers that you see people putting out there. I think it has frightened the American people. I think on a model that you just run full out, you can get to those numbers if you have zero controls and you do nothing. Warehouse delivery and retail workers in the U.S. have gone on strike to call attention to safety and wage concerns for those working through the coronavirus pandemic. Dozens of workers at an Amazon warehouse in New York walked off the job following reports of COVID-19 among the facility staff. Indonesia's president declared a national public health emergency over the pandemic on Tuesday. The country suspended all foreign arrivals after a study projected more than 140,000 people could die of the virus without tougher action. According to health officials, there are 114 new confirmed cases, bringing the total number to 1,528. Visited a face mask factory on Tuesday. During his visit, Macron said France needs at least 40 million face masks per week, and that current domestic production and stocks were insufficient. Last month on the virus, Taiwan experts were not allowed to attend in person, only online. The WHO includes Taiwan's number of cases under those of China, which Taiwan says confuses other countries over its coronavirus response. A mosque in New Delhi has become a COVID-19 hotspot after 24 people tested positive for the virus. Hundreds of others were evacuated and quarantined from the mosque. The Delhi Health Ministry estimated 1,500 to 1,700 people had been present at the religious gathering, despite a nationwide lockdown.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you are all staying safe and healthy as we navigate
these tough times together. So in hopes of bringing a little normalcy to your life, we have the normal crew here on this Brady Bunch style Broncos beat. You guys, thank you so much for joining us. First things first, really, since this second wave of free agency hit, heck, maybe even throughout free agency as a whole, the Denver Broncos reached an agreement with Shelby Harris, who will be returning for one more year. Of course, that deal ended up being about $3.25 million for him for the next season. So is it safe to say that you guys were a little shocked that Shelby Harris will be returning?
I love it. I think the one thing that I'm interested to see is based on the personnel they have, and now we know how much they want to incorporate Draymond Jones this coming year, is how much they move from an odd front to an even front and run kind of a 4-2-5 as a base. I'm interested to see how much they do that and who takes over the Will Parks role if they do run that package.
And there's a bathroom in the attic, but let's get to the sports. There's a report from Sky Sports Germany that Wimbledon will be canceled. Not postponed, canceled. Apparently there are agronomy issues with the grass in the late summer and the fall. If they don't have it when they normally have it, it's over. What do you make of this decision? Both love it. Yeah. And you just sort of take it in. And when you walk first into that stadium and you look out and you see the grass, particularly in the big stadium, it's like, oh my God. And Tony, it does. I keep thinking as I just sit around and read. I'm reading a lot of history. And sporting events were canceled for World War II, and sometimes for more than 1 year. And the Olympics, I think, twice were canceled during that period. And so, not postponed, but canceled. So I'm thinking, okay, you know what? Historically, we've done this. Wimbledon will be fine on the other side, but it makes me sad, too. It's one of the highlights of my year, too. I mean, I played some high school tennis.
That sounds like Inside Prima Donna, but it's not. It's actually the Think of You.
Quarantined for a short camp before these games, then for a month. Do you see this happening?
Well, I mean, I don't know what happens in another country. I'm going to stay with my own country. But when I heard about this, I heard there'd be no fans. I heard that they would play a whole bunch of games and everybody would be there together. I had that LeBron James feeling originally, which is, boy, without fans, the quality of games are diminished. People draw strength from fans pro your team and anti your team.